All righty, I think we're live. Welcome, everyone. We have a really exciting event today talking about diversity and entrepreneurship with 4 stellar recipients of funding from DOE's Small Business Innovation Research Program. We have a fabulous conversation planned that will be led by our very own in-house entrepreneur, Dr. Vanessa Chan, who is the Chief Commercialization Officer. And she'll be leading the discussion with our panelists. But before we get to that, we are going to go to Deputy Secretary Dave Turk for some opening remarks. Over to you.
Well, thanks, Tanya, very much. And it's such a pleasure to be with you all. And congratulations in particular to all of our 235 small business awardees. It's not only incredibly, it gives me great pride to be with you all. It's frankly inspiring to be with you all, and to just see the range of solutions that are on the table, entrepreneurs rolling up their sleeves, getting to work. We were just talking before the webinar started on politicians making 2050 net zero commitments beyond their, probably many of them being alive. Easy to make those commitments, harder for entrepreneurs, others of us in the government who are more the doers, to roll up our sleeves, get to work, and actually make it a reality. And I think that's what this conversation is about. And thank you all for stepping up and doing your part going forward. Certainly this administration, I hope this is no surprise to anyone, recognizes that small businesses are the backbone of our American economy. Nearly half American workers, employing nearly half of American workers, creating 2 out of every 3 new private sector jobs. Certainly here at the Department of Energy, we know that many of the most innovative, impactful solutions to our greatest challenges, including on the climate change front, are developed by entrepreneurs like you. I was at a workshop recently, a couple of years ago, and it was about 120 people or so in the audience, and we did a virtual polling. And this was a group of, some folks have been working in the energy industry for decades. Some have been more entrepreneurs, some a little bit earlier in their career. And we asked the question, and this was anonymous polling, so people would hopefully be honest with us. We asked the question, where are the solutions going to come from going forward in this new transition energy economy? And we put old incumbent companies, entrepreneurs, IT companies, and a few other categories. And by far, in an anonymous way, I think we would have got a very different answer if there would have been answers by attribution. It was entrepreneurs, it was new business startups, it was innovators to come in, disrupt, to cause the kind of change, the kind of new, fresh thinking, frankly, that has been such a strength of this country and such a strength around the world more generally. And so that's why this program exists. This is a program to recognize groundbreaking research conducted by small businesses, to really help commercialize the new technologies that we need, showing promise on the fight against climate change, disease, nuclear proliferation, and more and more. Secretary Granholm and I both spoke in our confirmation hearings about the Department of Energy being the solutions department. And we want to support entrepreneurs that are already leading on development and deployment of solutions to our challenges. Basically, our job is to make your lives easier, to make your lives more efficient, to support you, to make sure that you all have what you need to be successful. Today's awards are already a second round of awards among our DOE small business grants in this administration. Back in March, we awarded $110 million in seed funding to small businesses across the country. But we certainly know the scale of need and the scale of opportunity out there. And so this is really a down payment from the department and the US government side of things as well. What we'd really like to do in this administration is pass something like the American Jobs Plan that President Biden has put on the table, one part of which is $31 billion. It's billion with a B. That's a lot of money going out to give small businesses access to credit, venture capital, and R&D dollars. So that's the scale of ambition we think is both necessary and that we're pushing for along these lines. And we need your help because we know entrepreneurs, small businesses, as I was saying, are the cornerstones of our communities in developing the solutions, the full range of solutions that we need for the challenges that are facing our country, our community, and our world. But we know we have a long way to go. The ultimate goal here is to support a diverse, talented set of entrepreneurs who fully reflect the diversity, the strength that America has. Last month, for example, Secretary Granholm announced $17.3 million in DOE funding to support college internships and research, including investment in historically Black colleges and universities and other minority-serving institutions. This administration's committed to make sure that disadvantaged communities receive 40% of the benefits of the clean energy transition. At DOE, we started a new team headed by Shalonda Baker, the Deputy Director for Energy Justice, focused exclusively on this work, reporting directly to the Secretary, reporting directly to myself, making sure that this is a priority day in and day out going forward. So we not only want to support you all, we want to make it efficient. We want to make this process a painless process in order to support you and to make sure with all the challenges you face as entrepreneurs, starting up new businesses, we want DOE to be a helpful partner, a facilitator to try to help support you, to try to help move things along going forward. So before I turn it over to Vanessa, who is our Chief Commercialization Officer here at DOE, an incredible force for good throughout her career and force for change and good on the commercialization front to make sure all of us at the department, all our national labs are utilizing all the levers that we can along those lines. And I don't want to steal her thunder, and I don't want to steal the thunder of the four entrepreneurs, the four business owners we're going to talk to and hear from today. But it's quite impressive, just the range of talent, the range of technologies, the range of areas that you all are working on. So as a bit of an appetizer, we're talking about everything from rapidly increasing energy efficiency in underserved buildings to designing floating solar-powered aeration systems to building workforce capacity in underrepresented populations, and even some particle science work as well. So you're in for a treat. Thanks for joining us. And Vanessa, without further ado, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary Turk. And I can't agree with your premise more, which is really the backbone of us hitting our climate agenda starts with small businesses and many of the people here who are with us today. And so we're here to talk about diversity and entrepreneurship and the barriers really faced by entrepreneurs and what we can do to improve the diversity of the entrepreneurship system as a whole. So in my experience as an entrepreneur and a professor of innovation entrepreneurship, I know firsthand the challenges a person, especially a woman of color, faces on the path to entrepreneurship. One study of venture-backed energy and utility startups from the last 30 years showed that 92% of founders were male and 86% were white. That's pretty astounding statistics, and we're really missing out on untapped talent. And that leaves us with a narrow innovation and insufficient solutions to the problems that all of us are facing. And all of us know that diversity in leadership produces better results. Another report, you can tell as a professor I like reports, on the male-dominated venture capital industry found that the more similar the investment partners, the lower their investment's performance. So it's really critical that we are supporting diversity. And this administration is committed to supporting a diverse and inclusive range of voices in the lab and in the field, asking questions, making observations, and identifying needs. All the things that entrepreneurs are great at. And that's when we create the very best solutions for our people and our nation. So today's panelists, who have been awarded funding through the Department of Energy's Small Business Innovation Research Funding Opportunity, understand those challenges all too well and are superstars in really helping to tackle this. So I'm excited to introduce our talented panelists. First is Tanya Barham, who is the CEO and founder of Community Energy Labs, which provides grid-smart building controls to commercial building owners and facility managers. Next is Dr. Asmiram Jalal, who is the CEO of Epsilon Innovation Group, a consulting firm specializing in energy, climate change, environment, policy, and risk analysis. We also have Dr. Alice Prince, who is the CEO of Pathways United, a program consultant agency that provides entrepreneurial training, business certification, and diversity, inclusion, and equity training. And finally, last but not least, Dr. Kristen DeBona, the CEO and founder of Wyonics, which develops sustainable technologies and resources by utilizing a class of materials known as ionic liquids. Thank you so much to our panelists for being here, and I love the diversity of your businesses, and let's jump right in. So the data shows that entrepreneurship, especially clean energy entrepreneurship, is a majority male, majority white field, especially when it comes to CEOs and founders. And so Tanya, you have over 20 years experience as an innovator, entrepreneur, and technologist. What advice do you have for other women looking to make their mark as entrepreneurs?
Thank you so much for having us today. And I certainly can speak from my own experience and the experience of others in my network, but of course, I don't purport to speak for everyone. I will share, though, some very personal information with other folks, aspiring entrepreneurs, particularly women, of which I identified, and as a non-binary person, which I also identify. As you mentioned, less than 4% of venture-backed companies are led by women, and less than 0.5% by BIPOC. Obviously, the double bind is real. You know, you are very visible, being that you are in such an extreme minority in clean tech. You are very visible. And what that actually means, I found, is that while not intentional, you are under so much more scrutiny simply because you're the only one. And when someone's under a lot of scrutiny, every mistake you make is under a microscope. So I do want to say that that double bind and that pressure is real, but the more that you let it get to you, every entrepreneur, no matter what stripe, is going to be under so much pressure to perform. You eat what you kill. You're out there on the Serengeti, you're hunting for your work, you're sticking up for your team. And so you need to have all the capacity you can. I cannot stress enough. I think the two most important things for an entrepreneur are to understand what is supportive to you and what is a distraction. And ask yourself every time you allocate your time, your attention, your money, what is this a support to moving forward, or is this a distraction? If someone is hyper-focused, if a venture capitalist, even if they have a lot of money, if they are so focused on something that ultimately isn't going to get you to your goal and you're wasting a lot of time and attention, there is a big world out there. And so you need to move on. I would also say then build that support network before you need it and diversify your support network. I've tried to be very intentional with my advisors before I even started my company that they were ethnically, racially, socioeconomically diverse. And I had to go to spaces where I was the minority and I might have felt uncomfortable, but you do have to get really comfortable with that discomfort. And I began to really solicit a lot of feedback and input. Now, without, knowing or intending necessarily, those diverse networks have become a huge support for me. So much of the energy that comes back over the past 20 years, I didn't necessarily think 20 years ago when I forged these relationships, oh, this is going to lead me to an investment or a key staff member for my company. But that is in fact exactly what happened over the years as I cultivated a very diverse network. And I asked myself, is this person a support, or is the time that I spend with them a distraction? And so that's my biggest piece of advice. And then I would also say, and many of us have found this out during the pandemic, that therapy is awesome. Right? Exactly. It's good to have a safe space where you can really help manage and process your own internal world that, isn't necessarily in the workspace, because you are under such a microscope every day. So recognize that that's there. You may not be able to remove that, and that it's very important that you take space, though, to process that pressure, not where you are under scrutiny, in a place where all of that is going to be accepted.
So Tanya, thank you for starting off personal. These are the best things when people are getting personal, and also really want to reiterate, the point you're making around therapy and how it can be very helpful. Just want to follow up in terms of, what's something that you've personally done when you've hit one of those divots to really not get bent out of shape and feel okay about it? Because everyone knows who's been an entrepreneur, it's a huge game of chutes and ladders. There's times you're climbing up and then suddenly you hit a chute and you're all the way back to square one, and it's really demoralizing. So any tip or personal experience you can share around how to really get over that?
I have a bunch of tips. Like, first of all, I want to say that when we looked at seed funding, so kudos to the Department of Energy and the Small Business Administration, and this administration in particular, for its fairness. I think this is about as close to a meritocracy as you can find when evaluating the technical merit of these proposals. And it's part of the reason that instead of going to VC, we went to the United States government first and foremost. So I do believe that the government is your friend. Our local, your local SBA, your Small Business Development Center, any technical incubators. Right now, I know that the EPIC, that the DOE just funded the EPIC, and that funded 10 incubators all around the United States. My local incubator, Virtue Lab, I cannot say enough wonderful things about them. So when I hit a divot, I have never met a group of more authentic, more helpful people. If I call them up, they have my back. They put me in touch with resources. They put me in touch with other entrepreneurs. They've been a wonderful, so these technical incubators are, I think they're fair. They care about diversity and equity, and they care about our the technical problems that we're all trying to solve too. Those are the first places I'd go. The second thing I do in a divot is I have over the years cultivated a group of female entrepreneurs in tech. And I'm always looking for diverse, non-white, non-binary entrepreneurs in tech who understand the double whammy of not just being in a technical field and a founder, but being in an underrepresented group and being under all that scrutiny. And many times I call up those advisors or those peers, and that's the first thing that I do so that I'm not just reacting. And, you know, I know that they're giving me tough advice from a place of love. So I have to say that a lot of times the first thing I do in those situations is to take a deep breath. Don't react right away. If you got rejected for funding, if you're going to be scared a lot as an entrepreneur, don't go into that fear. Like, take a deep breath, sit with it, wait a day, get some good advice, and then act. So that, I think, has to be my biggest piece of advice in the game of chutes and ladders. You're not alone.
Thank you for that. And thank you also for the shout out for my department's EPIC program. We're very proud of the $9.5 million we awarded last week. And we're very excited to see what all the incubators will be doing with that to help activate the startup ecosystem. So SBIR, I wanted to change over to you. And throughout your career, you focused on climate change, energy, environment, and risk analysis, really big, meaty topics, both here and abroad. And you're really trying to catalyze ecosystems around you to hit many of the priorities that we're interested in driving climate. So tell me a little bit of what are some of the challenges you had to overcome when starting your own business? And you're muted right now, so you might want to unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa, and thank you, everybody, and for this opportunity. I think from my experience, not being engaged with research institutions here in the US, coming from abroad, was really a challenge for me, not from the technical perspective, but from the how do I present myself? How do I present my proposal? All these challenges, not knowing what the Department of Energy or others need, or not understanding even correctly, I think that would be one of the most challenges that I have had. So hitting the right chord is really the key for each entrepreneur, because they are taking a risk, but the funders are also looking for the best of the best solutions. So if they are looking for that solutions, from my experience, I have three experiences that I would like to share with any newcomers, or this might be also common to everybody, but those are also specific to me. The first one is, when you apply for SBIR, be specific. Don't be like, I can do everything, because there are a lot of competitors, there are a lot of people. I remember in my first SBIR submission, I think few years back, I spent time like I was writing my PhD thesis. And some of the comments were, well, this cannot be funded with this first phase. It is beyond. And there is no second chance. Once you submit, you spend all this time, there is no second chance. This is what I thought, this is what I think. So when somebody is presenting or engaging in innovation in SBIR, I think be specific is the key from my experience. And thank you. I think that helped me to get this chance, my first SBIR with DOE for that matter, from any federal government. The second one is persistence is really key. I think as for entrepreneurs, they say that, okay, you have to be persistent. The way I look at it is, there is a right time for your innovation. Therefore, you have to always check to find the right time where the Department of Energy is looking for a solution. So that time might pass through, but always you have to check out, be persistent, and it is a learning curve. But this learning curve, you have to really very patient. You can't just come and win. You have to understand that there is a process that you need to pass in order to win in this proposal. The third one is finding the right mentor is really very key. It doesn't mean that, because people can differ. If my mentor will come and look, oh, this is a process for SBIR, this is what you put on the objective, and so on and so on, but this I know. What is I don't know? Please tell me what I don't know. From me, my perspective, probably I have learned the hard way. But finding the right mentor or finding the right entrepreneurs or innovators that pass through that experience is really very, very important. In this regard, I want to thank the SBIR team. I have participated in 1 or 2, 3 Industry Day outreach. They are fantastic. The program and everything is fantastic, but finding one-on-one mentor is critical for success. And this is my experience. Thank you.
That's great advice. And the shout out to SBIR is great because it's a non-dilutive funding. So if you're not aware of it, definitely go after it. I wanted to ask Kristen, about kind of American innovation, right? It happens across the entire country, not just a few places. And oftentimes people talk about Silicon Valley and, New York City. But when I think about diversity, we have to be also committed to geographic diversity. So I wanted to learn a little about your company, Wyonics, which is based in Laramie, Wyoming, which I haven't been to yet, and want to get your sense on why you think it's important to support geographic diversity and innovation, and what's it's been like really driving a startup out of Laramie.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm Kristen DeBona, I'm CEO and co-founder of Wyonics. So I co-founded Wyonics in 2017. We are located in Laramie, which is also the home of the University of Wyoming. Our mission is to develop sustainable technologies, and we have several ongoing projects. And one of the focuses of really the project that got us going is utilizing the natural resources in our area and developing sustainable technologies from those resources. Because even though we're not located on one of the coasts, we have people and we have natural resources and we have all these great ideas and this place where we could have a great entrepreneurial environment, but we don't get a lot of the attention, we don't get a lot of focus. There, population has some to do with that, but there are a lot of people who live in the middle of the United States who are trying to start up and get these ecosystems going. You mentioned Epic. I saw one of those was in Colorado State.
Yes.
And that's only about an hour and a half from Wyoming. So
we've been very deliberate and very excited about the fact that there's this kind of pull for this. And I see it throughout the applications we've had. So it's exciting to know that there's many entrepreneurs out there who hopefully through these programs we can be showcasing and spotlighting.
Yeah, no, this is great. And the need for it is everywhere. It can help diversify our local economies and really train our workforce around here for these new technologies for this energy future.
No, and I think it's so important that you're catalyzing this kind of growth in these areas, because I think even more so the impact that you're having in your community is massive. And so we really want to see more of that happening. And for our last kind of question, I wanted to talk a little bit about diversity. and how we know a more diverse workplace drives more innovation than a less diverse workplace. But if we're not investing in a wide spectrum of entrepreneurs and innovators, we're leaving all kinds of talent and solutions on the table. And so Alice, wanted to understand a little bit about your work, which is really focused on the intersection between entrepreneurship, diversity, and inclusion, and how can we, both as a federal agency and a society, expand opportunities for untapped talent. You can tell my dog's very excited about what you're about to say, so.
I was like, as soon as you call my name, I get nervous, butterflies. I'm like, do they hear my stomach or something?
No, that's it. Just made my dog. It's my dog.
Well, I'm a dog mom too. I'm a dog mom of two, so I love dogs. Thank you so much for having me. First, let me just tell you, I'm nervous. So let me just put that out there right there. And let me tell you, it's my birthday today. So this is the best birthday gift ever. I'm 21 with a 21-year-old in college. Don't ask me how, that happened, but it did. And it's just a surreal moment. Like, I want to cry, but I don't, because, Deputy Secretary Dave Turk is on the line, so I can't be crying in front of him. So I just have a whole lot of emotions.
Alice,
but
if you want to cry, you can cry, Alice. No worries on that.
We're all friends here. We're all friends.
I want to pitch myself like, is this real? And I say that because so many people of color, so many people like me who have grown up in a one-bedroom house in the North St. Louis or in other disenfranchised communities did not think opportunities like this were real. So if I had to tell you or give you some advice, I would say, first and foremost, keep doing what you're doing, because right now these conversations are crucial. Your heart, your intent, all of that is in the right place. And it wasn't like that 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago. So this is so motivating, and it's so empowering, and it's so inspirational. So what you're doing already is great. I have three things, though, that I also would love to suggest. One is I do believe in structured decision-making and using the triple loop learning theory. I think that when you do structured decision-making and use the triple loop learning theory, that you definitely need to get the community involved. Never make decisions for the community without the community. And I think that that's important. And I think that what you see today on the phone is community. So utilizing as many voices, as many people, as many lived experiences as possible. The second thing that I would say is expand the access to information and education. SBIR and EPIC, all of you do such an amazing job. Continue to do that. And when you expand it as an education, make sure that messaging is targeted towards that community, taking in mind the equity gap that already exists. Taking in mind the years of institutional racism that already exists, taking in mind the fact that people maybe don't trust the government. And so when you do your messaging and about your access to education and access to all of these resources, make sure that that messaging also involves that, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So we don't know what questions to ask or where to look for things because we don't even know it's out there. The third thing that I would say is invest in young people, invest in our future, invest in the youth. Make sure that young people know how the Department of Energy shows up in their community. What does that look like for them? What does environmental racism look like for them in their community? What does renewable energy look like for them in their community? What does sustainable energy look like for them in their community? And when they know how the Department of Energy shows up, build those intentional connections and intentional alignments with the Department of Energy and young people. So invest in the young people. The last thing that I would say is incentivize grantees to lift and climb at the same time. Lift and climb at the same time. I always give back to my community, and I'm never going to stop it. I feel like I'm a workforce disruptor, and I'm very proud of that. So everything that I do, I lift and I climb. And so we need to invest more in incentivizing grantees to lift and climb so that we can pull up. And that's all I would like to say. Other than thank you so much. This is the best birthday gift ever.
Well, Alice, happy birthday, 21 years young, and very inspirational. I love that we went from kind of chutes and ladders to lift and climb, and that's a great way to kind of bookend this. And all four of you are absolutely inspirational entrepreneurs. The diversity of your work, the diversity of yourselves is really, I think, an inspiration to others. And, you know, we're very excited here, myself, Tanya, Deputy Secretary Turk, to be doing all we can to be supporting the great work that you and others are doing to really help drive the national economy. And so thank you for taking the time. And Tanya, I think you were going to close us out.
Thanks so much, Vanessa. That was just such a wonderful discussion, so inspiring. I do just want to make a quick announcement. You know, we got to hear from 4 amazing entrepreneurs today. We want to hear from everyone else as well. And so I want to let folks know that our Office of Economic Impact and Diversity and our Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy are announcing today that we are seeking input from the public on creating a more inclusive approach to funding and supporting innovation. So this request for information is open for 60 days. We really, really want to hear from you. In order to find this, go to energy.gov/EERE and write in your input. And, you know, I welcome that from our panelists, but, you know, from our audience as well. We are really taking this issue seriously, and we know that we have a long way to go, but we want to do better. So thank you all so much. I loved this conversation. I loved getting to meet all of you. Good luck with all of your fantastic endeavors, and hopefully we will hear some exciting updates from all of you in the future. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.